Sounds crazy. In Brazil, just to stop wild boars, farmers are digging war-style trenches. In a single night, they can moving in packs and destroying everything and wipe out entire fields, fences, or path. No, it actually works. No electricity, just a deep trench. And in some rural areas of Brazil, wild boars are a knock over sugarcane, attack livestock, and even spread disease. Real nightmare. They don't just destroy crops, they trample corn, uproot cassava. Many rural residents have grown fed up with their crops being constantly destroyed. Just one night can cause thousands of dollars in damage. Decided to take a completely different approach. So they've chosen to dig deep, wide ditches around their farming areas. The solution seems, instead of relying on electric fences, traps, or chemicals, they've unable to jump over or climb across, they easily fall in. Simple. When wild boars try to reach the fields, they're met with a deep trench blocking their way. At first, the trenches were seen as a drastic measure, and once they're down there, getting out is no easy task. They were completely blocked. But they proved effective. The wild boars either couldn't escape or simply gave up and left. These ditches are no joke. In some places, they're dug so deep and wide. Who would have thought such a seemingly crude solution could turn out to be so smart and incredibly effective? It's the most practical way to protect an entire season's worth of hard work. Because wild boars, they look more like strategic fortifications. But for farmers, destroy with alarming coordination. Boars aren't just a nuisance, they're a serious threat. They move in packs and just to wipe out months of effort. To make matters worse, these boars also pose. One night is all it takes. A single night can result in thousands of dollars in damage. Tired of constantly dealing with the risk of spreading disease? In many parts of southern and southeastern Brazil, that's when these animal defense moats started to appear. The ditches are usually aftermath. Many farmers have chosen to take a proactive approach from the start. The deeper they are, the harder they are to climb out of. For largely 1 to 1.5 meters deep and over a meter wide, the steep haven't hesitated to dig trenches stretching for kilometers around their land. Of course, fields, construction becomes a real challenge, but many farmers, in return, they get a solution that clearly works. Wild boars can't break in. Of course, it's no easy task, but in turn back. Still, some farmers have raised concerns. They either fall in or get discouraged, or more simply, they might just move on to areas without ditches. That's why a defense system turns. If these ditches become common, could the boars eventually learn to avoid them? Big advantage. No electricity, no fences, no poison. No need for these to be designed in a coordinated way, not just as isolated efforts. Another job, like a natural, silent defense wall that's incredibly solid. Constant supervision, no risk of being tampered with. They just sit there, quietly doing their job. Panic for other animals, no smell, no electricity, no chemicals. Sounds almost perfect. It's very hard to get past these ditches. They work silently, no panic. To build these kinds of ditches, you need heavy machinery, skilled labor, fuel. Perfect, right? But like any solution, it comes with a price, and the biggest downside is the cost. Expensive. It can take days to complete, posing a real challenge for any farmer. And a lot of time. For large farms or land as hard as rock, the construction isn't just expensive, it's a serious investment. Both financially and in terms of planning. In many areas, the cost per meter can digging a ditch isn't as simple as grabbing a shovel and getting to work. 10 or even 20 kilometers, that number quickly climbs into the tens, exceed $2, which might not sound like much, but if a farm's perimeter stretches 5, 10 up, In areas with heavy rainfall, the soil can erode easily, and the ditches may fill with or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's just the initial cost. In the long run, maintenance also adds a muddy mess if not properly maintained. And for large farms with rock-hard soil, digging ditches, mud, turning into stagnant puddles or clogged channels. What started as a defense structure can quickly become. That's why a proper drainage system is essential. Including flow channels, outlets isn't just more expensive. It also takes significantly more time and effort, especially during the rainy season. Safety is another critical factor that can't be overlooked. And even retaining walls to help preserve the ditch's structure year-round. There have been cases where machinery fell into ditches, workers slipped in the dark, or trucks got stuck trying to cross areas without proper access. Clear warnings and well-designed, if not clearly marked, these ditches can become dangerous traps. Signs placed in clearly marked locations. It's best to avoid placing ditches near areas with heavy foot or vehicle. Design pathways are absolutely crucial to prevent accidents. The safest approach is to use highly visible uninterrupted movement. There's another factor that many people tend to overlook: terrain, traffic. For necessary crossings, building small bridges or installing drive-over paths can help ensure smooth and unhilly terrain, full of large rocks or deep in the forest. Things get much more complicated. Construction. This method works best in areas with flat or gently rolling land. But if the property is in, and sometimes the results just don't justify the investment. In those conditions requires significantly more effort, specialized equipment, higher costs. The most notable are Java porcos, hybrids between wild boars and domestic pigs. And the trouble doesn't come from wild boars alone. There are plenty of other pests out there causing headaches for farmers, and far more destructive. Pigs. Stronger, tougher, native species like peccaries aren't exactly gentle either. They often move in herds, and that's not all. Some raids happen regularly and have become a true nightmare for farmers. Storming into fields like a whirlwind, tearing through everything from corn and sugarcane to peanuts and cassava. Nothing is safe. In many areas, these raids are used to snipe wild boar herds from the air. In some U.S. states, these methods are expensive and come with ecological consequences. In Australia, they set traps and use trained dogs to chase them off. But all of the state of São Paulo is one of the hardest hit areas. In that context, Brazil's ditch digging approach is seen as one of the rare, low-cost, effective, and sustainable solutions. In the dead of night, the sound of snapping plants, dirt flying, and by morning there have been reports of wild boar herds over 200 strong at once. Just imagine, a wild stampede tearing through the field. More and more farmers are turning to proactive solutions, and large ditches are gradually becoming the new fortress wall. Everything is reduced to ruins. That's why. And there's one more species that can't be ignored of modern farms. But out in the fields, they're a serious threat. Capybara, the capybara, also known as the water pig. They may look calm sitting by the river. They graze relentlessly, especially when the crops are young and most vulnerable. This leads to damage right at the start of the season. Have strong territorial behavior. Once they find a food source, they tend to stick around. Pests, termites, and a host of other problems. When plants die and the soil is left bare, the fields quickly become a breeding ground for weeds. A small loss early on can rapidly spread, triggering serious consequences for the entire crop. So have to stay proactive and stay one step. That's why farmers Because what you're looking at is the work of farmers fighting to protect the most valuable ahead of every threat. So when you see a field surrounded by what looks like wartime trenches, don't laugh. Every meal you enjoy today is thanks to someone out there digging trenches in the fields. Things they have, their crops, their land, and their future. Next video, wishing you good health and a bountiful harvest. Share this video so their voices can be heard. No frills, just the truth. See you in the